We bought the old Victorian house in October. It was our dream home, a fixer-upper with good bones, as the realtor said. 3 floors of creaking wood, dusty stained glass windows, and the faint, sweet smell of decay. We loved it. For the first 2 months, life was a blur of paint cans, sanding dust, and late-night pizza on the floor. It was perfect. Then came the 3rd month, and with it, the door. It was a Tuesday. I was trying to fix a leaky pipe under the kitchen sink, a job I was monumentally failing at. Sarah was upstairs, mapping out the electrical wiring and the walls. I heard her call my name, but her voice was strange, thin, and tight. I scrambled out from under the sink, banging my head on the cabinet, and ran upstairs. She was standing in the upstairs hallway, staring at a section of wall between the master bedroom and the guest room. Just staring. "What is it?" I asked, my heart still pounding from the run. She didn't look at me. She just pointed a trembling finger. "That wasn't there this morning," she whispered. I looked, and my stomach dropped. Set flush into the floral-patterned wallpaper was a door. It was small, maybe only 4 feet high, made of a dark, almost black wood, with no handle or knob, just a small, tarnished brass keyhole. I ran my hand over the wallpaper around it. It was seamless, as if the wall had grown this door from within. "That's impossible," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "We've been up and down this hallway 100 times. We measured this wall last week for a bookshelf. There was no door." Sarah finally looked at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and something else, curiosity. "I know," she said. "Where did it come from?" We spent the rest of the evening trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was always there, and we'd just missed it? But how could you miss a door? We checked the blueprints of the house we got from the town records. It showed a solid wall. No door. It was maddening. That night, sleep was a stranger. Every creak of the old house sounded like a footstep. I kept picturing the small, dark door in the hallway, silent and waiting. Around 3 in the morning, I heard a sound. A faint scratching. It seemed to be coming from the hallway. I nudged Sarah. "Did you hear that?" She was already awake, her body rigid beside me. "It's coming from the door," she breathed. We crept out of bed and stood in our bedroom doorway, peering into the dim hall. The scratching was clearer now. Scrape, 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 like fingernails on wood, coming from the other side of the little door. A cold dread, thick and heavy, settled over me. I wanted to slam our bedroom door, lock it, and pretend the other one didn't exist. But Sarah, ever the braver of the 2 of us, took a step into the hall. "What are you doing?" I hissed. She shushed me and crept closer to the mystery door, her ear pressed against the dark wood. The scratching stopped. Silence descended, heavy and absolute. Sarah pulled back, her face pale in the moonlight filtering through the hall window. "There's something in there," she whispered. The next few days were tense. We tried to ignore the door. We covered it with a tapestry we found in the attic. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Wrong. We couldn't forget it. It was a silent guest in our home, an unanswered question that screamed at us. The house itself seemed to change. The air grew colder. Shadows in the corners of our eyes seemed to dart and twist. We'd hear whispers like the tail end of a conversation, just as we entered a room. One afternoon I was in the study, trying to work, when I heard a child's laughter from the upstairs hallway. It was brief, just a single joyful giggle. But we don't have children. My blood ran cold. I sprinted upstairs. The tapestry was undisturbed, but I just knew, the sound had come from behind it. That was the breaking point for Sarah. "We have to open it," she said that evening, her voice firm. "I can't live like this, not knowing," I argued against it. "We don't know what's on the other side. It's not on the blueprints. It just appeared. This is how horror movies start, Sarah." She looked at me, her expression unyielding. "And this is how they end, too. By confronting the thing you're afraid of. We need a key. Finding a key for a lock that shouldn't exist felt like a fool's errand. But we searched anyway. We rummaged through every dusty box in the attic, every forgotten drawer in the basement. We found old skeleton keys for every other door in the house, but none fit the small brass keyhole. It was during our third sweep of the basement that I found it, tucked inside an old music box. Hidden beneath the velvet lining was a small, ornate brass key. It was almost black with tarnish, just like the keyhole. It didn't belong to the music box. It was too small, too different. As my fingers closed around it, a wave of dizziness washed over me, and for a split second, I heard that child's laughter again, right beside my ear. I showed the key to Sarah. She took it without a word, her eyes fixed on it as if it were a venomous snake. We didn't have to say anything. We both knew what we had to do. That night, armed with a key and a heavy fireplace poker, we stood before the door once more. I pulled back the tapestry. The door seemed darker now, more solid, as if it had been feeding on our fear. My hand trembled as I inserted the key into the lock. It was a perfect fit. The click of the tumblers turning was deafeningly loud in the silent house. I hesitated, my hand on the key, and looked at Sarah. "Ready?" She just nodded, her knuckles white as she gripped the poker. I turned the key, pulled it out, and then, using my fingernails, I pried the small door open. It swung inward without a sound. A gust of cold, musty air washed over us, smelling of damp earth and something else. Something sickly sweet, like wilted flowers. We peered inside. It wasn't a room. It was a corridor. A narrow, dark passage that seemed to be made of rough, damp stone. It sloped downwards, disappearing into absolute blackness just a few feet in. There were no lights, no windows. It was a tunnel leading from our upstairs hallway into nowhere, into the earth beneath our house. "What is this?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "It doesn't make any sense." Before I could answer, we heard it again. The scratching. But it wasn't coming from down the corridor. It was coming from right inside the doorway, from the darkness just beyond our sight. And then a small voice, a child's voice, echoed out of the black. "Are you my new parents?" We slammed the door shut. I fumbled with the key, my fingers slick with sweat, and locked it. We didn't speak. We just scrambled back into our bedroom, slammed that door too, and shoved a heavy dresser in front of it. We spent the rest of the night huddled together, listening to the faint, intermittent scratching on the other side of our bedroom wall. The next morning, we packed a single bag and left. We didn't look back. We called the realtor, told her we were breaking the contract, that we'd forfeit our deposit. We didn't care. We just had to get out. She asked why, of course. What could we say? That the house grew a door? That there was a child living in the walls? We never went back. Sometimes, late at night, I wake up in a cold sweat, convinced I can hear faint scratching coming from the closet. I think about the couple that might buy that house next. I wonder if they'll notice the faint outline of a small door under the wallpaper in the upstairs hall. I wonder if they'll find the key, and I wonder if they'll be brave enough or foolish enough to open the door and answer the question from the darkness. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more unsettling tales. Let me know in the comments what you think was behind that door. Until next time, stay safe and maybe check your walls.